welcome back. We're so glad to have you back with us for this final session of our show. We're still talking to Donna Hruska and Michael Dalessio, and they're members, well, Donna is the chair and Michael is a member of the Nevada Site-Specific Advisory Board, and they're looking for members. And if you'd like to find out more information, that's what we're here for, to let you know that you can become a member of the Nevada Site-Specific Advisory Board. So write down the information if you feel you want to be a part of it, and we're going to be talking about some of those things that happen around Pahrump and around Nye County. They want members. They want you to be a member. So make the application if you have any interest at all in becoming a member. You don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to have a lot of background in exactly what they're doing. They will train you on this. They will give you enough information that you can provide information to the Department of Energy. That's what we're here for. So listen carefully as they talk to you. Question I want to ask, you know, living in Pahrump, and Michael, you say you live in Pahrump, there are many times around town we hear a lot of information is just not correct. What can we do to try to correct some of that information?
Well, as I said earlier, the best way to get information is to either be on the board, attend meetings, and you can get first-hand information as opposed to information you get from someone who knows somebody or heard something from someone. And I guess one of the biggest misconceptions is that the materials that get transported here through Pahrump that go out to the test site is dangerous, it's high radioactivity, there's a lot of misrepresentation of really what this information is.
First, and unfortunately, some of the information that's put out is put out on purpose.
Correct. I've listened to things, I've heard things on broadcasts and so forth of information of doom and gloom and so forth.
Yes.
And I don't know where the information comes from because some of where I've heard this from, I've never seen any of those people at board meetings. I've never, and they may have been, and I'm not sure. But regardless of that, there's a couple of things that are of importance for people to understand. And number one is that nothing that goes to the Nevada test site is liquid.
Okay.
The test site does not accept any material that's liquid. It must be solid materials. That is a regulation set by the Department of Energy and by the Nevada test site.
Okay.
So when we hear about radioactive spills, people automatically, I would assume, the word spill would indicate maybe that there's some liquid material that's dripped or poured on the ground or something of that nature. But that's not true. There is no liquid material. It's all solid material. The second thing is that it's considered low-level radioactive waste, which is not what people talk about of bomb material, and we have bombs that are being...
Okay.
It is not that type of material. Most of it is materials that have been exposed to radiation, to some radioactive. So it's not
fuel rods.
It's not fuel rods, or it's not the radioactive portion of the bomb that was removed or anything like that. It may be workbenches and chairs and stuff that were used in a facility where they tested radioactive material or something.
Okay.
So it was in that facility, so it was potentially exposed to radioactive material.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so that's the kind of stuff that gets transported through here. And if there was an accident or an overturned truck or something of that nature, the danger to the population would be minimal. And as I spoke once before when I was here about transportation, the chance of a chlorine truck or an ammonia truck having a spill that's far more dangerous than a radioactive spill. And people have also heard me talk about, we have a very well-trained hazardous materials portion of our fire department that is trained for any kinds of hazardous materials.
And that's always good to know.
So,
And
anyways.
I would like to interject here that board members actually have participated in the process of going and verifying these things. So they get to go and look at the trucks being loaded. They get to go and look at the casks being loaded and to see the procedures that are involved that, you know, we all hear is being done. Our board members actually go and get to see that for themselves.
Oh, that's great. I want to emphasize too, and I want to repeat something we said during the last session, and that's the fact that you can apply for membership on the Nevada Site-Specific Advisory Board. You can apply for membership through the 31st of March. So you've got the rest of this month to apply for the membership. Now, Donna, I want to ask you the question. You know, when I first arrived here, and I arrived here in '08, and I heard some horror stories about the test site. I wanted to find out more about it, and I was able to get a tour. Do you still have tours out there?
Yes, the Department of Energy runs public tours. You can, we get them as being board members,
Okay.
but they're also available to the general public. And you just have to call the www.nevadaenergy.gov or the telephone number, ask them to put you on the list for public tours. And I don't know what their current schedule is. You may be out a couple months, but then they'll call you, they'll ask you what date is good for you and then put you on a tour that goes out. And it's educational from the historic standpoint. That's something we've not talked about, but this is history in your backyard. This is this was part of the, the testing of bombs, the Manhattan Project, to see if those things were viable. And we had them here. Now we're dealing with that from an environmental standpoint. But when you go on the tour, you can also see some of the history. You can see some of the remnants of the testing, such as the bank vault, where they put actual money in there, blew off a bomb, and to see if the door would actually open, which it did. So they have lots of interesting experiments that you can see the remnants of their tests, and to know that even a long time ago when these things happened, there were safety concerns for the citizens.
Now on the tour, on this tour that you're talking about, is it a 15-minute tour, a 1-hour tour?
All day.
All day tour.
Plan on all day. So you come, you usually meet the bus. The bus leaves from Las Vegas. You can meet the bus in Mercury. And then you have to have ID, and you can't bring any prohibited items, and they tell you this before the tour.
Okay.
Prohibited items generally would be a cell phone, firearms, weapons, that sort of thing.
Okay.
You have to dress sensibly, you have to have hard-soled shoes, and we recommend a hat or some sort of visor. And
So this means if you see animals out there, you don't have open radioactivity and people dying from being exposed out there.
No.
Nobody has ever died, I don't believe, being exposed out there.
One of the things that you would learn on this tour, they have a program where they go out and actually tag animals and track wildlife that is on the test site just for those specific reasons.
Great,
to
okay.
see if there is some sort of radioactive contamination, if you will, to the natural habitats of the test site.
Oh, that's great information.
And in addition to the animals, they also monitor plants out there.
Oh, okay.
And so there have been a number of studies funded by government grants about testing the atmosphere and its effect on the growth of plants. So lots of things go on out there, and that's one of the reasons why we don't call it the Nevada Test Site anymore. We call it the Nevada National Security Site because it's involved in the security of various aspects of our lives. Our water, the air, plant and animal life, and also a lot of homeland security training is being done out there.
Can you imagine trying to change the name from test site to security sites?
It's been very difficult for even board members.
In the entire program, I've been saying test site.
site.
And that's what I've heard, and
That's what we were all used to.
Yeah.
But
We
it
all
really-
still say the same thing. We all still call it the test site, not the
okay.
security
I
site.
like test site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds better. But we want to remind people that you're looking for members, and they can apply through the end of this month for the Nevada Site-Specific Advisory Board. It is so important that they have members that are interested in looking out for our area. And we're looking at Nye County because that's where the test site is. It's in Nye County. And we want this advisory board to encompass all the interests that we might have. So you can apply. The information's on the screen right now. You can call, apply. Donna is the chair. Michael is one of the members, and they both said how much information and how important it is that they look at this. So I think it's important that we do this. And as we wind down, is there anything in specific you'd like to say before we run out of time?
I would only encourage people who live in the area to participate, even if you don't want to have to be a board member or don't feel you have the time commitment. Do come out and visit some of our presentations in the area. Sometimes we deal with items that are very pertinent in terms of the time. So we always encourage participation. You're able to ask any of us questions before, after, during the meeting. There are lots of government people and lots of experts who are available also at the meeting. And it's a good time to get some firsthand information on what goes out there.
And we want to thank you for being with us. We'll have another show next month, but for this one, we want to thank you, and we hope that you'll contact them and join this board. Thank you.